Hey guys, this is Ibis, and in today's video, I'm going to be demonstrating something I call color stylizers. And basically, what these are is they're a very special type of props that can be used to recolor your characters and manage the colors and interchange the colors and get better colors out of your characters. Now, this is only basically suited for render style compatible characters. Obviously, if the character is not render style compatible, you can't change the colors that easily. Most G3 characters, if not all, are not render style compatible, so those are out of the question. A lot of the G1 and G2 characters are, however, so if you use those type of characters or any kind of vector based character that has been grouped to use render styles, you can actually take advantage of this feature. I'm going to switch over to the tablet here so I can show you a little bit something of what I'm talking about. Now, traditionally, the render style feature, which is available from the tools panel right here, I'm going to launch it again. Allows you to manipulate the colors of your character. So if you wanted to, if your character has been grouped according to the render styles, you should be able to change the colors by selecting certain things. So in this example, for example, let's see here. I'm going to look for upper one, which is generally considered part of the shirt or the upper body. So I have Billy selected, and I can adjust the brightness, make it brighter, make it darker. But as I do this, not only is my outline not keeping pace, that outline stays green. And I don't have much control over what colors I actually end up getting. I'm gonna try to zoom in on this real quick, see if it'll let me, so we can see it a little bit easier. Okay, we'll select it again. So I was able to change the base color of that shirt. And okay, so it is possible. I can change the hue. See right there, I kind of screwed up. I didn't really select anything, so it automatically started doing some kind of weird stuff to the skin, which is not necessarily upper. It's not supposed to do that. So now I'm physically selecting the upper, and I'm gonna adjust it again. So now it's affecting. So there's all sorts of wacky things that can happen. I did not select the skin, but by starting to move things around, it automatically started adjusting the skin color. Now we want to avoid as much of this stuff as possible. So basically, what we use are stylizers that allow us to target specific items without all this potential bugs, and it's easier to manage. You don't have to confuse all these extra body parts and things. There's the skin one. I'm going to try to reset it, and of course it resets me back to the original base color, which is fine. That's kind of it's perfectly fine. We can work with that. Of course, when we change the color of that shirt, only the base color of that shirt changed. The outline stays there, so then I'll have to go in here, select upper two maybe, and try to find the corresponding color that would be cohesive with that base color until I locate it. And hopefully I can locate it and I can have some cohesiveness between the two colors. I think I might have nailed it somewhat. So you got to play around with that. You're never going to get the exact color that you want. You just have to tweak around the colors by adding or removing hues, saturation, brightness, contrast. It's a really weird way of working, but the color stylizers kind of fix all that. So what they are is that they are a very special set of props that allow you to easily change the colors or manage the colors of your character. So in this case, for example, I have a series of skin stylizers here, which a bunch of predefined skin shades. And I'm going to drop this TS8 color. Now this stylizer only focuses on skin tones, okay? Anything related to the character's skin, whether it's his you know, his main skin color, his outlines for the skin, his hands, whether it's in the upper body, lower body, it doesn't matter. A lot of the stuff that's associated with the body itself, such as the lips and the mouth, I believe the teeth might also be included in the skin stylizers, just because they have to be somewhere. But but in general, it takes care of the full surface. So these are predefined skin colors and skin colors only. Now, of course, I can go through all this and tweak that stuff, but that's not the point. The point is I have a predefined stylizer that I can select, use the little bucket tool, and then click on the character that I want to stylize. And it automatically takes on the style properties of this stylizer. So there's my skin outline. If he were to have any blemishes, it would take on the blemish colors. The skin color for the mouth has also been adjusted, the outlines, all that good stuff, just for the skin. It did not affect the clothing at all. So one of the things that we have done, for example, I believe I might have a couple here. Let me see if I can find some. For example, with the Sammy character, we released a set of 3 basic stylizers, and if I can find it, I will demonstrate it. Let's see, here it is. I think I have it extracted already. So here we have a collection of predefined stylizers for Sammy, and we're gonna go ahead and apply these to both Kevin and Billy. So we have a hipster style, an Irish style, and a USA style. If we go into the USA style, for example, we have a collection of eyebrows, clothing, eye, hair, and skin. So we're going to view that as large icons so we can get a preview of what these look like. So here we have the hair prop. Let's say we want to change his hair. We use that prop, and basically we're going to extract these colors and apply them to the character. So we press the bucket tool and click on the character that we want to manipulate, and his hair changes to that color. So it's very easy. We can repeat it. We can apply it to this character, and he takes on those properties of that color, hair color. So we have an eye prop. This is kind of a brownish, like a hazel brown. Now Billy's character's eyes are already brown, so we may not see much of a difference. We're gonna apply this new stylizer color though. Yeah, they got a little bit brighter. I'm gonna apply this to Kevin. So these props are very reusable. They basically contain just the items that you need for that specific task, and it makes things very convenient and easy because you can set up a collection of 50 different eye shades or eyebrow shades or hair colors and stuff that you can just drag and drop and apply to any of your render style compatible characters. It also makes dressing up your characters very easy. So for example, here we have a clothing prop that we developed for the Sammy character. I'm gonna drop that one. This is the USA style. We're gonna apply it. Select this little bucket tool. Oops. We gotta select the props, the prop first. We use the bucket tool and then drop it onto the character that we want to stylize, and he automatically changes into the predefined USA style that we created for that one prop, the stylizer. We can do the same thing with Kevin. So he takes on those color properties. So it's very easy, very convenient. I didn't have to mess with a lot of levers. You can, in fact, go into the stylizer and manipulate it further using the classical render styles panel. And you can see that you only have a few options. So if you want to make the whole thing dark, you select all and just make everything just a few shades darker. And you can see that that stylizer became darker. If I apply it to my character, well, it keeps the same style, but it made it a little bit darker. If I want to just modify one item, the upper one, for example, let's change it the color a bit. Might have to add some hue. So that's we can see that the interior shirt is changing in color. We're going to go ahead and adjust the outline a bit. So we're not modifying the outer or anything like that. We're just modifying the t-shirt color within the stylizer, so that when we apply it, only the relevant item is modified. This makes things very easy to work with, even if you are kind of guessing at the colors through the panel itself. It still makes it possible for you to choose a starting point. So if you have stylizers already, like whether you downloaded them from toontitan.com, or you got them from a friend, or you bought them from somewhere, or you made them yourself. I mean, if you have a stylizers already set up, you can modify the colors, save them, and then reuse them as needed. It makes things very easy. I'm gonna try one more because we have some pretty cool styles here. Here's the Irish style. So we get this one that's kind of perfect for St. Patrick's Day, with the orange hair and the green outfit, like leprechaun-ish outfit. We'll apply this orangish hair. So that's the hair stylizer. We'll apply the green outfit stylizer. Oops, I didn't mean to do that switch there, but it still should work. So we apply that. He has a white t-shirt with green pants and stuff. It's it provides you, even if that's not the exact color that you need for your clothing. I mean, this is a clothing stylizer, so even if that's not the exact color you want, you choose the one that's best represents your starting point, and you can modify it a little bit more, tweak it, and then apply it to your character. So what I'm going to show you now is how to basically build your own custom stylizer. And in order to do that, we're going to have to use Flash, and Flash is absolutely the best tool for the job. You can probably do this in Inkscape. You can do this in, I believe, Paint.net, I believe it's called. Any program that can export to the SWF format. You can even use Illustrator. So any program that can export vector shapes in SWF format will work. The key point is being able to export as SWF. So I'm going to just create a new document inside of Flash or Adobe Animate, whatever you choose to call it. And I'm going to make a basic collection of items. Okay, so and you can draw whatever best represents your your style. I mean, if you want to create a style that contains clothing, I mean, all the clothing, for example, in the styles that I just showed you, is strictly just for the clothing. It did not include shoes. But if you want to include, like, items that are for the shoes, for the pants, the upper body, the shirt, stuff like that, you go ahead and put those all as part of the same graphic. In this case, we basically just did the upper body, lower body clothing. So I'm going to switch back to Flash here. And I'm just going to draw, I can draw a shape, that represents what my style is. For example, this is a shirt. And I'm going to paint my shirt, let's see here, a nice shade of green. And I'm going to take this outline, I'm going to give it kind of a monochromatic outline. I could stop right there. If all I want to do is make a stylizer for t-shirts, that's all I need. I can export that, and then we can group it and create the stylizer from that. You can also be a little bit more abstract if you want to include more things. For example, one of the things I like to do is I like to do spheres for many things. So, and of course, like with the styles, with the actual art style for things like Kevin has a very unique drawing style in which basically the outlines don't actually touch the edges of the items. So if we that's part of the design principle behind Kevin himself. It doesn't apply to Billy or some of the other ones, but if you look at Kevin, he's got outlines right here, but these outlines don't actually touch the edge. And wherever there is edges, usually they're not going inside, but usually there's no outlines around the edges on the clothing items for characters like Kevin. That's part of like just a design thing. So I'm gonna make a color stylizer that's kind of abstract to to Kevin, but in the same way, it's still going to work with Billy, but I'm going to design it using Kevin's art principles. So even though Billy has outlines, let's see here if I can switch back to Flash. There it is. So I'm going to start with a basic shape, and you can do this manually. I'm going to use Toon Titan. Toon Titan proper is a plugin that I developed for Macromedia Flash, Adobe Flash, Adobe Animate. Okay, it'll work with any version of Flash CS3 and above. So as long as your version of Flash, whether it's Flash or Animate, supports plugins, Toon Titan should be able to work with it. It's an easy color calculator, cell shading system, color management system, and it allows me to create better color harmonies for my cartoons. You can download this at toontitan.com. It's fairly cheap, and you don't need it. You can do it all manually, but you know, just to keep things simple and do something pretty, I'm going to go ahead and use it. So the style that I'm going to use, I'm going to base it off of this blue color. I'm going to suck this color up into Toon Titan, and it automatically calculates what my shade should be, what my highlight should be, what my outline color should be. I can go with that, or I can further tweak it. So in this case, I'm going to make my outline darker, a little bit much darker than the base. And I'm not going to focus too much on my highlights and shadows, but I'm going to go ahead and do it just so I can have a secondary color, and we'll leave it as that. Okay. So I'm going to use this as my base shading system for my characters' t-shirts. Of course, it's not going to take you this long to do. Obviously, I'm explaining a lot of things as I go, but the entire procedure should only take you about 2 minutes. Based on Kevin's art style, I'm going to draw an outline here. That's not going to touch the edges, but I'm just kind of going to go around here. Just kind of imply some kind of, oops, I'll make sure I adjust the paint fills area. Just imply some kind of border, some kind of outlines. Just something that's relevant to what I'm drawing. And that should be enough to give the hint of what that is. In general, for my particular usage, I usually rely on global shading and highlighting for my CrazyTalk Animator characters. So I don't rely on these as my colors and stuff. For the secondary colors, the upper 3 and 4, I usually reserve that for if the character has like a jacket, and so that jacket will have a base color and its own associated outline. So I'll go ahead and duplicate that just to have a secondary. So on this secondary one, I'm actually going to choose a completely different color, maybe something along this brown spectrum thing. So I'm going to change that to that, and that little outline area, I'm going to change it to that color. So if my character just happens to use it, at least we'll have it. And that's it. I'm gonna group this. You don't have to be that complex. You could just draw a shape, like I said, you know. I'm gonna group it just so I can place it here somewhere. See, you are free to use your own artwork any way you want. You can create your artwork any way that you want. You can group that other shape if you want as well. You don't have to. And the idea here is that, and even at this point, you don't have to turn it into a symbol. You convert it into a symbol if you're going to be exporting a bunch of them. So let's see here. What I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to export like 3 of them at the same time. So I'm going to go done. You know what? I'm going to keep it simple. We're going to do it one at a time instead of doing them all at once. You can do them all at once, especially if you have Puppet Producer. You have the export feature where it just selects every frame or every symbol that you have selected. Boom, 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 export them all. The important thing, the biggest thing, the reason why we do this in Flash or an outside program is because with Flash, we have absolute control over the colors. If you want like this particular shade of brown, you type in the color that you want, you get the exact color that you want. You don't have to deal with brightness, color, saturation, hues, stuff like that. You just get the color that you want, which is the natural way that things should be done with 2D artwork. So I have this basically drawing. I'm going to export it. File, export, movie. I'm going to call this K-shirt. And that's it. I basically exported a prop that has 4 different colors. And these 4 different colors, I'm gonna group inside of CrazyTalk. And the easiest way to bring them in here is, first I gotta find it. There it is. I'm going to drop it into CrazyTalk. SWF files, export, perfectly fine inside of CrazyTalk. You can see that the colors are pretty much exactly as I created them inside of Flash. So I didn't have to mess around with a bunch of levers, brightness, saturation, or whatever. I basically just chose the colors that I wanted, and I'm able to use them now. So I'm going to go into this prop by selecting it and going into composer mode. And I'm going to select it one more time, and this time I'm going to select the vector grouping tool. Here, sometimes you're going to get more colors than one. For whatever reason, your program may detect more shapes in here. Don't worry about that. You know that you only used 4 colors, so only look for those colors. So we click on one. Okay, we found the primary base. We're going to assign that to upper 1 since we want to manipulate the shirt. I'm going to go ahead and apply that to upper 1. If I can find it, there it is. Apply. Then we're going to go to the second one. So that's my outline for my upper 1. So I'm going to assign that to upper 2. And in case the character has a jacket or something, or vice versa, depending on which one takes priority, I'm going to apply this brown one to upper 3 and that darker outline to upper 4. So now I have the entire upper pretty much mapped out. We're going to leave that, and we have a fully render style compatible prop. At this point, of course, I can save this prop, go to Scene Manager, Content Manager, switch to Custom, and you switch to the Prop tab. Just find yourself like a little place where you're going to put it, color. You can make yourself your own little folder. Usually it's going to go into Custom, so I'm just going to go in there. You can make yourself a folder and just kind of group these props based on what it is, like t-shirt colors or whatever. So I'm going to call this blues. So that's good enough. So we have that for future use. So later on, we want to be able to apply this style to any character. We just drag and drop it into the stage and we can use it. With the prop that is render style compatible already selected, I click on the little paint bucket tool and just apply it to whichever character I want. And boom, you can see that the base color changed and the outline color changed. Same thing here. I'm going to apply it to this character. You can see that the outline color changed and the base color changed. So any changes that I make to this stylizer I'll then be able to also apply again to these characters. Now we do have some characters that are a little bit more complex. That have a t-shirt and a maybe a jacket. Let me see if I can find one. One of the most recent ones, which was developed by Ariel Sierra, is Sammy. Sammy is like a patriotic type character, good for, you know, Veterans Day, President's Day, 4th of July, inspired by Uncle Sam. I might just have to locate the external one. Let me see if I can find the zip file here. Let's see. Let me run a quick search. That might be faster. Should have prepared for this a little bit better. So here is Sammy, and I'm going to drop Sammy into the stage. And here he is. You can see that Sammy has a shirt and a jacket. I'm going to delete Billy. I'm going to also delete Kevin. And I'm going to take this stylizer and I'm going to apply it to Sammy. You can see that the jacket color changed to brown with the brown outlines, and the shirt, the underneath shirt, changed to that blue with the blue outlines. So Sammy also has a hat that uses the same color style, so his hat also changed to reflect those color styles. So it's a very useful little trick, you know. And if you want the exact colors, you can create your own stylizers, even if you don't want to go through the entire process of creating a whole group of colors. I mean, obviously I can go in here and just kind of spend some time just making multiple different props for this particular usage, export those individually, and I'll be able to use them. So let's see here, there's that one. And maybe I don't want this outline to be darker. I want it to be brighter, so I could just adjust it so it's an opposing color. Fill that in. So now the outlines for that shirt are actually going to be brighter than the base color, and I can apply that the same way that I applied these. In addition to that, even if you don't want to build an entire stylizer set with like the multiple props, you just want to have one specific color for one specific item, you can easily just come in here, create a square. You got the exact color that you need. Okay, it doesn't matter how you obtain it. Let's say you go in here and manually type it in. We're gonna type in just some random colors. Okay, so let's say that this is the color that I wanted. I was able to put in the exact color that I need. So that gives me the color. I create a rectangle or square, any kind of shape using that color. I export it. My color, it doesn't matter. You can name it based on the actual name of the color. For example, here is 0DF5 6F. Was that it? No, I kind of messed that up, didn't I? Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm doing this correctly for you guys. The color is 0DF5 6F. So I'm actually going to name the movie based on just that one color. So export. So that's it. Now we basically just exported a color swatch, and this color swatch was not specific to anything. I can bring in that exact color. Here it is. Drop it into CrazyTalk as a prop, and it already has the color that we created, but we have to group it. So if we want this to be for the skin, for example, if we want this to be a character skin, we want to be able to use it for a skin color, we can group it to the skin, no big deal, if we can find it. See, sometimes you create CrazyTalk will create a bunch of different colors. If we know it's just one color, we're just gonna select everything. One of those colors is it. So we'll just apply it to skin 1. There was a little bit of a bug there because of the multiple colors. Let's go ahead and see if we can go backwards. I guess we're not gonna be able to do it that way. So, all right, let's try it again. We are gonna have to find it. So let's try that. One of the things that CrazyTalk does when you're doing multiple items at once is that if you're using different colors, and obviously in this case it detected different colors, there it is. I think we found the color that we were looking for. It tries to average out the multiple colors and comes out with whatever's in the middle. That's why we ended up with that brown color. Right now we have just that one color selected. We're going to apply it to the skin one. Hit apply. And there we go. So now we go back, and if we select it, we can apply that to our character's skin. So let's say we wanted to use that exact color for the shirt, no, or the shorts, you know, or something. Let's stick with the shirt. We'll go back into the composer mode. We'll remap it. We'll just assign it to upper one. No big deal. And that's how you get an exact color into CrazyTalk and use it where you want it without having to deal with the sliders and the brightness control and everything. You get the exact color you need. In animation, specifically 2D cartoon animation, colors are very important, and sometimes you'll have a designer or color designer or character designer who's going to go through the trouble of creating your color harmonies, creating the specific colors that you want, and getting those exact colors. You're not going to be able to do that by just fiddling around with colors inside of CrazyTalk. It's going to be necessary for you to create this type of stylizers to bring them in to CrazyTalk and use them that way. So here it is. I'm going to apply that. It's going to go towards the shirt. Okay, and since this hat uses the same style as the shirt, that also got updated. So hopefully this gives you a lot of ideas to work with. Color stylizers are very useful. Over at toontitan.com, I created a bunch of predefined stylizers that are very useful, specific for my characters, you know, Billy, Mojo, Kevin, Laney, which is the latest character that's coming up sometime this week. All of these stylizers are all compatible with my characters. If you're an artist doing your own stuff, I recommend sticking to a specific standard so you make your stylizers reusable and they work with all of your characters. Let's see here. Props, template, color. So here's my skin colors. Here's a collection of skin colors that I created, and these are compatible with all of my characters and all of the characters that are based off of my my creations, my templates, my designs. Sammy, which is not a character that I made, this was made by Ariel in Colombia. It's based off of the B2 template, the Billy template, Billy 2.0, which makes it fully compatible with all the body parts. You can switch and mix and match these body parts, his body parts with my body parts, his colors with my colors. They're all fully compatible. So here I'm taking one of my skin stylizers and I'm applying them to Sammy, and his skin automatically changed to reflect the colors of that stylizer. So again, hopefully you found this little tutorial very useful. If you have any ideas for further tutorials, if you have questions, feel free to send them my way. My name is Ivis. I'm over at toontitan.com. Yeah, share, subscribe if you think the information is useful, if you know anybody who might benefit from these. Other than that, I'll see you next time.